you would think that the lower half, like between the celestial equator down to that lowest line, you would think, oh, maybe that's death down there. That's when the year is darkest. But actually that has to do more with physical life. And then the upper half has more to do with spirit and spiritual things. And so the very lowest line is like the spiritual birth line. That's the rebirth line. That's not the physical birth, but that's like the spiritual birth. If you think about what we're looking at, the top line where the sun is right now in this picture that we're looking at, do you think that day is going to be longer than when the sun's on the bottom line, or that day is going to be shorter? Way longer. Yeah, obviously longer. Because look at how much longer the sun's above the horizon. Then down the bottom, it like peaks up, looks around and ducks back down. On the top, it's like taking a lazy stroll across the whole sky, way higher in the sky, and it's going to be up way longer. So therefore, the top half of the year, I call it the top half of the year, is when days are long. And the bottom half of the year, way down on that lower arc, is when days are short. And then halfway in between, we get days roughly equal to nights. So the top half of the year is like the time of sun and light. And the lower half of the year is the time of dark and cold and night. And the sun spends more time under the earth than it does up in the sky part, right? If you imagine that the sun is plunging down underneath the horizon and then toiling through some tunnel underneath the ground to get back out to the left side and pop back up again, it spends more of its time in the underground chambers on that lowest circle and very little time up in the free, crystal clear sky above. Whereas in the top arc, it's spending most of its time in the crystal clear sky above, where there's nothing for it to run into, and very little of its arc in the toiling chambers underneath the earth, where it's muddy and slow and going through caves to get to the other side. Imagine. So which of those two realms do you think represents physical incarnate life in a body? Sailing through the crystal clear sunny sky, or toiling through the muddy caverns under the earth? The second one, not the first one. You would think that the second one might represent death, darkness, decay, because it's underground. But actually, the sky is the spiritual realm. That's where the stars and planets live. That's where the gods live. And if you think about the ancient elements, right, the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, up there on that top arc, the sun's spending most of its time in the realm of air, in the realm of fire, where the stars are and the air is, and the crystal ether up there. In the lowest arc, it's spending only a little bit of time in the realm of air and fire, and it's spending most of its time down in the realm of mud, water, and earth, the lower elements. And so you would think that our life corresponds to the upper realms and our death corresponds to the lower realms. But as we'll talk about, Alvin Boyd Kuhn is the researcher who really blew this metaphor open. And Alvin Boyd Kuhn said, I think it's upside down. I think everyone's got this backwards. And what they're talking about with that lower arc, that has to do with the physical life, is everything from the celestial equator down to the bottom arc and then back up to the celestial equator. And then everything from the celestial equator up to the summer solstice, and then from the summer solstice back down, that's like spirit land in between lives. The crossing down at the celestial equator is physical birth, but spiritual death. It's like you get born as a baby, you get a body, and you forget where you came from, the spiritual realm. And you get more and more physical as you keep going down from the celestial equator on down to this winter solstice.